and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as Awol, and today it's all about making this cup holding thing. I don't know what I should call it. It basically, there's a couple different coffee shops that I like to go to, and I get cold drinks. But then if you hold them while walking around the mall, your hand gets really cold and it's wet, and you can't, then the thumbprint reader on your phone doesn't work right. So there's like all kinds of reasons to hate it. Or you got your notebook out on the table, but your cold drink is making a puddle of water, and then it spoils your ink because I use fountain pens. Yeah, they're not waterproof. Anyway, I wanted to make one of these things after a friend asked if she could have one, and I've known her for like 13 years now. So yeah, I picked out the colors that she wanted, had them special ordered. That was a while back. I don't know when that was, when we did the string purchase thing. That was partly to do with this because I didn't have enough purple. Now I have a lot of purple. Now that drawer is jammed with purples. This is sped up to as fast as I can speed it up because it was super time consuming. It took a couple solid days to actually make, and I tend to try to avoid doing that when it comes to video making and stuff, mostly because it throws everything off the schedule and makes everything difficult. You may remember that there was a pattern making version for this, and I was following that, even though there's more segments than just the little pattern thing that we did. All that worked out fine. There was a problem, and that will get addressed a little bit later on, and that is we tried to take it from 150 down to 144, because at 144 we can do it in groups of 12s. So each one of these little segments is like a 12-string bracelet. It turns out that difference in the circumference makes all the difference. Like bad, really bad. So yeah, that was something. So I kind of ended up, so I knew I needed to add in 6 more. So I did like 3 on one side and 3 on the other. I show how I do all that so I can bring it back up to the 150. Had I really thought it was so necessary, I would have put it in the middle of this as opposed to on the sides. But, there was no way of like rebuilding it to that point. The pattern that I chose is kind of like my pattern from like the thing. Oh, you're right. So there's a string here that makes it so that way you can kind of get to the edges, right? I take a scrap piece of string, put it up to the top, and then just kind of use it to hold in place the edges while I tie that edge knot. I did on both sides. It was pretty cool. I totally derailed my train of thought by having to do that. Sorry. This pattern, it's like my signature pattern. Didn't leave me a lot of room to put like the little holes and stuff down underneath. I was gonna like make diamonds in the purple, but the overall length to it, yeah, that was the thing. So if I were to do it all over again, there's a few things I could have done differently, maybe, to made this more interesting, but it still turns out super cool. I took it out for a test run and it works perfect. It is awesome. It's just unfortunate that 150 does not lend itself well to designs in general, right? So why is that? Okay, so 150 does divide in half, right? But that's 75. That doesn't divide in half. So you can't, there's no breaking it down into 6 or 8 or 12 or something like that really easily. Sets of 5, but that doesn't really fly. Sets of 10, but then you get an odd number for it. And you really want to put the straps on both sides. So yeah. All right, so check this out. do all this work, get all this stuff done, and then just like that, there were 2 of them. Not really. It took me forever to put the 2 pieces together, but you get the gist. I did the design. This is the strap, which is essentially like kind of making a bracelet, except for the loop is huge. And then I just kind of get like started on one of the sides. Remember, you need all the strings on one side. I screwed up. I have like a small bit of rope that would be like if you had brought it together like a proper bracelet. Yeah, no, instead of like 12 strands, I needed 24 to get one side, which makes the strap nicer and thick, which is good. That worked out. But it's just like a diamond like this, and then you have to connect that on to the side bit, right? It's a little bit like you're doing a double wide, but you can see it's just joining it on, relatively easy. Yeah, if you don't know how to do that, you probably are not in for having a good time with trying to make this thing at all. It's just, yeah, is this advanced? Kinda. The designing and putting it together part, that's probably advanced. The actual knotting and stuff is just intermediate. Could it be done easy? You still have to understand how all the pieces come together. And I suspect that makes it at least intermediate at best. But you can see, joining it together, not a big deal. Yeah, it was. And again, this pattern for me is like, I made so many different variations of this over the years. It's basically the same pattern that's on my clipboard. This one though, it's 3 colors on either side. A lot of the ones I did were 4 color, but the same principle like runs through it and just makes it super easy for me to work out. So, and I might actually try messing around with this again, just you know, I like these cup holders. I wouldn't mind having a couple different ones for, you know, taking out. I don't really have like the Starbucks or coffee bean tea leaf stuff like too often, maybe once a week, but it'd be fun to show up at the shop and have different cool colors, maybe matching something, or I don't know, it'd be cool. There was no need for me to try to do every little bit like I am doing here. Like it's like I'm taking it as far as I could. That wasn't necessary. I could have gone and done it where I just leave part of it and get it joined on the other side. But whatever, I was kind of on a roll, things were clamped. I took it and ran with it. And then there was 2. So both sides are exactly the same, so there was no point in recording it twice over. I just thought this was, you know, a cool way of doing it since I did the first time. So here's my little fix thing. And this time, actually, I think I made it harder on myself than necessary. I got it better the next time around, but that's kind of gives you an idea. So there's a little candy stripe with the colors coming down over there, and yeah, that really kind of threw a monkey wrench into the whole works for me to try to mentally, because I didn't write out a pattern for it. I just like, it's a candy stripe. Every time it gets the end, it bounces the string in, do the thing. I definitely think that the second one came out looking a little better than the first one, but at the end of the day, it's hardly noticeable. Nobody's gonna complain or freak out and stuff. Hey, wait, this is gonna end in an abrupt hurry, so let me thank my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members for making this possible. This was a lot of floss, and I really wanted to kind of show you guys a bit of like how this could work and how this could be kind of a fun project for anybody that's really interested. If you have troubles, you're welcome to contact me. God, I've got so many different social medias that people do reach out to me from. So do that. And yeah, thanks guys. I really do. I appreciate all the help I get. Yeah. And like I said, I am going to probably redo this a bit. I'm not sure to what extent or what pattern I would use. Again, it's 150 strands. I could maybe go as high as 152, but that doesn't necessarily help anything that great. It would be what, 76 is the half? I don't know what the half of that is. I could just go completely random colors and just do something bizarre. That could be fun. I don't know. I've just... If you have ideas, thoughts of something that might make it interesting. The first one was in sets of 5. It was alright. It was cool. It was... I would like to find like the perfect pattern for this though. Something that just makes the 150 kind of cool. Oh, this is thicker floss. This is the floss from China. If you decide that you want to try to make this and you're going to use DMC, you're going to have to work out something to find out how many strings to go around, because it won't be 150. And maybe that's how I get a really killer pattern for the whole thing, is I figure out how many strings I need to be able to do it with DMC, because it would be a lot more. This string is really much thicker, and so the knots come out bigger, takes up more space. There's a huge difference. So just a heads up on that one. That could be a deal breaker for somebody. And you can see at this point, it's just a case of filling in the rest of the spaces in between. There's nothing magical about it. It's just finishing out the pattern and working my way around. At the end, I just kind of ended it the same way I end a bracelet. I don't know. Yeah, the candy stripe did make it harder though. Not gonna lie, that was a doozy. I did try to keep the candy stripes in their own lane, even when the colors were the same and it was just going to continue. But I realized like keeping it in its own lane instead of transferring it kind of makes it a little bit like visually you can kind of see something's weird. So in some cases, if it was just going to be that same color continuing, I started doing that, and I think it came out looking a little bit nicer from that. So it's just a little quirky thing, but it makes a difference. And then yeah, I kind of brought the candy stripe part down further beyond like where the regular thing is, because like now that green is done, like so everything on the left hand side is done. But then you'll see like I bring this in and I bring the candy stripe down, because I kind of want its tassels to be in line with all the rest of the tassels. And you can see like as far as like segmenting goes, oh yeah, there was a mistake. Got a little off course with the whole other lines. I don't think there was a terrible amount of mistakes. It really only happened because there's a weird part of the pattern thing there. And again, I was trying to do this. I didn't have a pattern for the change up there. So, again, any questions, anything that you guys are, curious about, let me know. The first one, mind you, I'm pretty sure I made it before COVID, and I'm still carrying it around today. Like, I still use it, and yeah, just a heads up, like that's kind of awesome. Yeah, so this whole little segment area here is almost done, and then there's the reveal, because me showing this here isn't as clear as showing it there, so you can see it's kind of winding up. So let me go through the whole thing of like, I am very grateful that you're still hanging out, listening and watching this video. That's super appreciated. If you're still here, hit the like, you know, or leave a comment. Maybe just a simple comment, like you liked it, you didn't like it, I missed something that you needed to know that would have made it easier, whatever it is. Just leave me a little comment. Definitely curious, but yeah, so here comes the big reveal. Thanks guys for tuning in and watching, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.